All right. So this workshop series is an extension of nonviolent communication. This is actually a active area of research for me. I'll talk about that a little bit later. So nonviolent communication is a way of focusing our attention in ways that facilitate that compassionate giving and receiving. Really what we're doing is we're extending NVC through this wild mind that we're going to get into a little bit later. Wild Mind by Bill Plotkin. So this is a representation that I really love. It's the NVC Tree of Life created by Inbel Kashtan, another NVC trainer. And it shows the three conscious options for connection, starting with the root system of this tree of life, called, through the self-empathy process, which is all an internal process about, introspection, like what's going on for me? What am I feeling? What are my needs? What's that life energy in me that's seeking fulfillment? And that's the root system of the tree. And as you go up the branches, then we find different options for how to show up. And one is the leftmost branch is the empathy branch, where we're listening from the heart to the experience of another human or another being. They don't have to be human. You could do this with rocks and trees and squirrels. And so listening from the heart to what's going on for the other. And we can also choose self-expression, honest self-expression. So that would be another branch that's possible. It's essentially communicating from the heart, what is alive? What did you find in your self-empathy practice? And what I really love, I've always liked this graphic because it's nature-based. It has a tree, and trees speak to me. And the root system really speaks to what's going on in self-empathy. And what I love about that is it's totally consistent with where we're going. And you might envision, that root system is totally buried under the ground. And that's a metaphor for the unconscious, which is where we're going. And this, beautiful tree is here representing the conscious part of our interaction with ourselves and with the world. And there's a huge universe underground. And so in our practice, in the series, we're really focused on this intersection of our conscious and our unconscious selves. So some of you may have seen this before, and one of the questions that I ask often is, am I reacting or choosing? And so in this, simple two-stage model, when we're unconscious, then as we get stimuli or triggers from the outside, we're in this reactive phase. And these are like automatic reactions by what we're going to see, we call subpersonalities, or parts is another term that's out there, that basically take over. They're different versions of ourselves that kind of take over, and we're not totally aware of what's going on. And so part of what we're trying to do is become aware and develop some ways of making the unconscious more conscious. And there's a process of awakening. And once we're in the conscious phase, then we can make more choices to serve life, to connect with ourselves and connect with others. And so when we're in the choosing phase, we want to be in a place of cultivating our wholeness and choosing NVC self-empathy. And we'll talk about self-healing as well in this series, where we actually have conscious conversations with our parts, with our subpersonalities. And every once in a while, we go back to sleep, and that's just part of the cycle of life. We're not always conscious. The unconscious is actually, it's a universe. It's much bigger, bigger than the slice of the psyche that is the conscious mind. So So this practice of cultivating wholeness is basically creating this bridge between the unconscious and the conscious world. And stop me if there are any questions. I do like interactive, but I'm going to keep going because this is sort of like high level, like framework kind of stuff, which I totally dig. But soon enough, we will get into like more experiential things. So, this active area of research that I mentioned before is showing up in mapping these 4 windows of knowing with the nonviolent communication components. And so there's, I actually have papers that I've written that show that connection between Jung's work and Marshall Rosenberg's work. So the observation is our first component of nonviolent communication, and the corresponding window of knowing, adding Bill Plotkin's contribution, is full present sensing. So expanding from observation to include all of our senses. And there's also an element of being present to the now, to the current moment, that's really important. And the second component of NVC is feeling. And what I love about Bill Plotkin's work in particular, because Jung did talk about feelings, is the embodied part. So being in your body is really important to living in your wholeness. And when I first started practicing nonviolent communication, it tended to be more of a kind of an intellectual thing, whereas in my mind, and not really having an embodied experience of my feelings. So embodiment is definitely part of what we're going to be exploring. And then the needs is the first or the third component of nonviolent communication. And that window of knowing is deep imagination. And we're going to talk about that more today. We're actually going to have experiences. And then the request part is the fourth component of NVC, has a corresponding heart-centered thinking. So as we're, creating strategies and requests with other people and maybe even other beings and the system, right? We engage in heart-centered thinking. So it's not just, intellectual thinking, analyzing. We're engaging with heart-centered thinking. And through cultivating wholeness, we're going to be developing all of these. And today we're just focused on that one sliver. And this is my nature-based, I guess I call it the flower of life, but it's how I organize universal human needs. And if you click on this, you'll get a PDF of this particular image along with some feelings lists. And so needs, I see as an invitation to tune into your imagination. Like why am I having a feeling? And so engaging in this conscious conversation with what's going on unconsciously, and putting out the question, why am I having this particular feeling in mind? And so what I find super helpful with having a list, or even this could be seen as a mandala, right, that you would study and focus on in different ways, is that it gives you some clarity as to what might be going on, and to have like one word describe what it is. So if like, gosh, I've been feeling some sweet sadness of late, because my mother has passed. And gosh, the needs behind that, like, why am I doing it? It's sort of like around a celebration of life. So it touches on this transcendent beauty and love, and it touches on maybe a spiritual connection with what she brought to my life experience. And there's also something about incendence, which is going deeper into what really matters to me. And and things that have meaning. And my mother really contributed to a lot of that. You know, she laid the foundation. She planted the seeds for where I'm at right now in this moment in life. So it's a beautiful story. So this map can be used to help you get a sense for what needs are alive in you. You know, the physical needs are near the bottom, and physical needs like, you know, air, water, shelter, nature is down there, sustainability, and then personal needs towards the left. And these little clouds, they show a few words that are associated with the petals. So there's an association there. And so autonomy is an example of a personal need, and, you know, empowerment, choice, and freedom are related to it. On the right side, you have the interconnected needs, like community, belonging, empathy, and connection. And then towards the top, we have transpersonal needs, transcendence, and incendence is part of that too. Incendence is sort of like outside of the picture, and it speaks to the position of the flower in relation to the earth. So we're extending NVC needs through the wild mind's west facet of the self. And if you're interested in my research, if you just click on this thing right here, it takes you to my blog, where I've organized some of my blog posts into what may become a book project. I do want to encourage whoever continues with us, and actually, if you don't, to actually get the book Wild Mind by Bill Plotkin. You will get so much more out of this series if you have that and are reading. Actually, it helps if you read before coming to the session. And one last thing about cultivating wholeness, and then I'm going to pause for a little discussion. And so wholeness is living fully from all facets of ourselves. And this thing that I've called cultivating wholeness is kind of reawakening all of our resources, internal resources, so that we can live more fully, and maybe even identifying the weakest facets of ourselves while continuing to strengthen the other facets. So what I love about Plotkin's work, and actually Marshall Rosenberg, is that they both study healthy people, healthy, happy, flourishing people. And so we start there. We start with wholeness in our study, instead of starting with the pathologies, which is a lot where a lot of other psychology approaches go. So we're going to start with health. And so sessions 1 through 5 are on cultivating wholeness. And then sessions 6 through 10 focus on the subpersonalities, so the unconscious elements of the self. So I know that's a lot of words, and yeah, let's see, what do I want to go here? I'd enjoy some kind of dialogue, some kind of going deeper in this phase. And I'm wondering if one of y'all could maybe add your understanding of how the conscious, our conscious selves interact with the unconscious. I guess that's one question. Another one might be, are you able to see the connection between Bill Plotkin's work and nonviolent communication? So that's another prompt. I see your hand, Drew. Go for it. Please unmute yourself.
Sure. Yeah, I really like that. In terms of the conscious and subconscious, I like the metaphor of the boy riding the elephant, and the boy is the conscious mind, and the elephant is the subconscious mind. So the boy goes where the elephant wants to go. Um, Sometimes we don't even know we're riding an elephant. And also, to play with the metaphor a little, I don't know that it matters whether it's a boy or a grown up. I mean, perhaps if the grown up has a prod or something, that elephant's going to go where it wants to go. You could probably have 4 people on it and it's going to go where it wants to go.
Hmm.
And that helps me understand myself, my process, and also just recognize the real power of the subconscious, despite maybe not always giving it as much attention as I would like to.
Thank you, Drew. I'd like to sort of like get on the elephant with you and talk about that. And so the approach that Plotkin has, and I would say also Marsha Rosenberg, is to befriend the elephant, become friends with the elephant, so that and close friends, like you're part of the same village, you're part of the same body, and so if there's that connection, that friendship of sense of belonging and loving each other, then you can both steer and navigate through life in a way that's sort of like integrated, and that's what I would call wholeness, right? Is sort of the elephant is one with the boy or the girl. um yeah. So thanks for adding that, Drew. um Anyone else? Crystal, I'm wondering, I haven't heard your voice today. What's alive in you around this? Like, could you say it in your own words, your understanding of some of the things we're inviting you to? Please unmute yourself. I can't hear you.
Yes, thanks. I was just going to raise my hand, and the whole connecting conscious and subconscious minds is one of the things that I enjoy studying and practicing. So things like meditation, breath work, body work, which can be a bunch of different things, but just feeling the feelings and feeling where they are in the body and things like that, somatic stuff. Dreams are a great way to connect with yourself, your soul, higher being, and interpreting those. And I actually had an intuitive health report suggest I get back into dream work
Mm.
and to help heal some things within myself. And so, yeah, I find this really intriguing. I would not have thought to incorporate somatic body work into my dream interpretation and feel the dreams, because I either have a lot of dreams or I don't have many. So it'd be interesting.
Well, thanks, Crystal. Thanks for sharing that. All right. So anyway, I'm loving everything that I'm hearing so far, and let's go ahead and move on to the next section here.